Hello, welcome to another round of CommerceIQ's weekly news roundup. I'm Tim Campbell, CommerceIQ's head of industry insights, and this week we have another 4 articles for you about the that you need to read to better understand the state of the economy, retail, and e-commerce as a whole. So let's get into it. And the first article of the day is from Wall Street Journal, and it's titled "Amazon's Prime Day Isn't Quite the Blockbuster It Once Was." In Commerce IQ, we had the privilege of contributing to this article with some data of our own. But this is a great article to read from the Wall Street Journal if you have the subscription. And if you're interested in any of these articles, you can just check the comment box off to the side, and you'll see links to all 4 of the articles we'll be discussing today. And this is a great article because it gets at a few different data points as to why Prime Day might not be quite as big as it once was along several metrics. Now, Prime Day is still important. I mean, it still achieves a sales lift between 2 to 3 times, at least 2 to 3 times in 2021, at least, of sales growth, for your average brand. But there's some interesting things that are happening around the day as well. Discounts are becoming, less common. Ad spend is becoming more common. And some other data from some other sources, suggests that basket sizes is going down over time. Kind of the average purchase price of items purchased is going down over time. So engagement along at least some metrics, at least, might not be quite as high as they once were. Not to say that the day isn't important. It still drives a lot of conversion, a lot of traffic, a lot of order product sales for brands. Very important to get right. But just that, perhaps its purpose is evolving a little bit as shoppers, start to think about shoppers, I think, essentially have become a bit more savvy around discounts and getting the best deal. Certain concentrated sales periods in general, I don't think aren't performing quite as well. And Amazon's Prime Day might be at the forefront of that shopper shift, especially when you consider also today in today's environment that shoppers are spending less on discretionary goods. They're shopping, and as a result, they're shopping a little bit less online than they used to, or I should say. Online growth isn't as high as it once was. Probably a better way of saying that. The fate of Prime Day this year will be interesting, and Commerce IQ will be keeping an eye on it. So pay attention to our LinkedIn page, to our blog as well. You want to look us up on CommerceIQ.ai. We'll have insights coming out, this week and next week and after Prime Day as well. All about that as well if you want more information. Our second article here is "What Recession? FedEx Sees E-commerce Leading Growth" from payments.com. And this kind of contributes to the ongoing discussion. Are we headed for recession? Are we not? Different people have different opinions. I think the consensus is that the likelihood of falling into recession has been rising over time, but at least according to FedEx from this article, they're seeing packages still being shipped at a healthy clip. And they see e-commerce still being a leading source of growth in shipping packages. So at the very least, they see growth perhaps slowing, but still continuing. If we are headed for recession, it would be more minor, versus a full-on, more extended recession. So I would say on average, probably a note of positive news or an opinion, in today's environment. But still kind of good to see kind of the opinion from somebody from a company who's very much and quite literally on the ground in tracking what shoppers are doing, what they're purchasing, and how much they're shipping and buying. The next article here is "Fed Confronts a New World of Inflation." And this is a great overview article, not so much something that's happened like today or this week, but a good overview article of the state of inflation and the gradual shift, I would say, from the Fed saying inflation is transitory, it's going to disappear, to being, this is actually a longer term shift that we really need to address. And I would say that it still centers around supply chain issues in terms of what's causing inflation. But what has changed has been the thought that these supply chain issues are transitory and that they're going to, disappear in a matter of months, to being, the supply chain's been hit by one thing after another. The supply chain transformation itself is not transitory. And we're dealing with a new normal for a world that might be a little less global, a little more local, and a little bit more expensive as a result. So good article on that front. And the Fed's responding to it in kind with rising interest rates. The last article here focuses on India, which of course we always like to have our last article focus on India, and how Indians are the most optimistic about the future in Asia, and they lead the pack in spending, from Fortune India. Great article because, in contrast to a lot of what's happening in Europe and the US, Asian consumers are a bit more optimistic about the future and their own spending prospects in the future. And among Asian countries, Indians in particular are very optimistic. We had a piece last week on how the Indian tech sector, they see their growth continuing despite the threats of maybe a global recession. They see the tech business in India still thriving to some extent, and I think that's mirrored in the consumer attitudes and sentiment here, despite the high inflation that India itself has been also experiencing. So some uplifting news here as well. That stops it, or that covers it for this week. Again, if you're interested in covering any of these articles or learning about them, just check out the links in the side and the comments, and make sure to tune in next week. We'll have again about another different 4 articles that you need to read to better understand the state of retail, e-commerce, and the economy for the week ahead. And check out our Commerce IQ LinkedIn page, as well as our site for upcoming content on Amazon Prime as well. All right, thank you very much, and I will talk with you later.